What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our very first podcast, video cast, whatever kind of cast this is going to be. I'm sure it's going to live on YouTube, and it'll also be living
on podcasts
in a car someplace far down the road, driving to work maybe on your lonely commutes.
But anyway, I'm Taylor.
My name is Josh, and if this is the first time that you are watching this or listening to this, we are the WDW Couple.
We are. We live near Orlando, and we've got a passion for theme parks, so that's how we ended up in this area. But we've been wanting to do a podcast for basically ever. That is how the WDW Couple actually started.
I hate to interrupt this programming, but it's really weird right now. I feel very comfortable when we were in the parks talking to the camera, and for the first time in a long time, I do not feel comfortable sitting here at this table in this room where there's nobody else. This feels awkward.
So I think this will be definitely a little bit different from the vlogs, just because we do a lot of editing and cutting, and we want this to be more fluid and not have to cut and edit things so much. We basically just want to be able to put it together. So
yeah, I think so. Kind of talking about how this podcast is getting started. For a while, I've really wanted to have a place where we can just sit down and kind of just have a conversation about things, because I think a lot of times we can't really just do that in videos that are in the parks of whatever we're doing. And not that this is a place for us to be this is what I hate about Disney or Universal, whatever. But I think it's a better place to be able to have more of a discussion about things.
Yeah, instead of just being so informative all the time, we can actually sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, not that this won't be informative, because many times it will be, but...
Yeah, I think so. But basically, we plan on focusing on some travel and news and travel news, really. And theme parks, of course, because we live so close by, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's really... if you have been watching our videos on YouTube, a lot of what we do is focus around the theme parks. But this is really more of an opportunity for us just to branch out and kind of talk about really whatever we want to talk about. It will be centered, like Taylor said, around travel, theme parks, and cruising, and that's all travel. But, kind of whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, and Josh said at the very beginning that he's been wanting to do this for a long time, and by a while, he meant since 2015, when we actually came up with the name WDW Couple.
Yeah, that's a good point. We actually tried to do it in 2016.
Yeah, we did.
Before we started the vlog. And for some reason, doing the vlog was a lot easier than doing a podcast.
I don't know. Even though this we can do from the comfort of our own home.
That is true. We can. We can do that.
Yeah, but I basically finally talked Josh into starting something which became our website. That was actually the very first thing that we ever had, was our website and our name.
Yeah.
And then when we decided to move to Florida in 2016, I created our Instagram account because we already had our name. So I'm well, let's create an Instagram, because then we can post pictures of when we go to the theme parks. Because when we very first moved here, I was going to the theme parks. Is it not recording?
No, it's recording. I'm just looking while listening.
This is our very first one, so just checking out the kinks here. But yeah, we already had the name, and I created the Instagram, and that was actually, I looked back for our very first post, and it was on July 16th, 2016, so about a month after we moved down here. And because we moved here at the beginning of June. But
yeah,
that's another topic for another day when we move. But our first YouTube video was actually on December 12th of 2016. Josh decided he wanted to start a channel, and we did the monorail resorts to check out the Christmas decorations.
Yes.
That was our very first YouTube video. I was very skeptical. And
you don't have to go watch it. That's fine. We won't blame you.
I will link it for you.
I have a hard time watching it myself.
Yeah. It was very interesting. We were very monotone. We literally had no idea what we were doing. We don't have any video experience at all, except from what we have learned over these last 2.5, almost 3 years.
Yes.
Doing this stuff. So it was all self-taught, really.
Yeah. Everything that we do is self-taught, including this
Yeah.
Poor setup right here. This is all self-taught as well.
Yeah, and I just noticed I keep looking down at my face on the monitor instead of looking at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll just keep looking at you. I'll look at my screen. But yeah, I'm like really excited that we're finally getting the podcast started.
I am too, and mainly because I think for me this is going to be more of like a, I don't know, like this is going to be a big problem with the podcast. Whenever I'm trying to find a word
Josh,
and I can't find the word,
he struggles with words
that I'm looking for.
Somebody send him a dictionary.
I don't need a dictionary. I probably just have something wrong with my brain.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, it's just more of like a place just to, oh God, it's like
you
therapy.
said.
It's literally like therapy almost. You know, it's just being able to like relax and kind of unwind and just talk about whatever.
And I just realized this. Josh never even said, welcome to the weekly breakdown. Because that is the name of our podcast. That way it's not solely centered on theme parks, and it can be about whatever we feel like talking about for that week and for that day.
Welcome to the weekly breakdown. There you go. So let's break into everything else because we've been rambling on and on for like the last...
Well, it's our first podcast, so we're allowed to do that. And it's our podcast, so we can do what we want.
But I hope people are still listening. So this week and every week going forward, we're going to be talking about sponsorships. And the weekly breakdown is brought to you by Gold Gal Getaways. No matter what kind of vacation that you are planning, whether you have big kids, small kids, or no kids at all, we have an agent who can help you plan your next vacation around the world. So there's a link in the description or in the show notes or somewhere, or you can go to goldgalgetaways.com and fill out a free request, and somebody will get back to you with more information or a quote, depending on what it is. With that being said about sponsors, we are looking for sponsors to help fund this podcast and the YouTube channel and everything in between, because it does take up a lot of time. It does cost dollars, and that would be really great if we could get some sponsorship. So
you can email us at the WDW Couple 1@gmail.com if you are interested.
Thanks for throwing that email in there.
We'd love to hear from you if you're interested in sponsoring.
It can be in more ways than one. I will. This is the very first episode, but I will break into this right away. I've had this idea for a long time doing this podcast, which is basically at some point we will have Q&A questions that are specifically around something, and I want to have a wheel of prizes, and we can spin that wheel, and we pick somebody, and whatever the wheel lands on, they will get something like that. So I think that would be cool.
I definitely feel like this is going to be like a 3-hour podcast because we had so much stuff we wanted to talk about, and we're still on like our first section
we got to move it along here.
Bullet points.
Move it along.
But anyway, we are going on our first Royal Caribbean cruise starting January 26, 2020, this coming January, and it's a 7-night Caribbean cruise, and this is a group cruise. If you don't watch our YouTube channel, we already announced that we are going on this group cruise. We are super excited. It's our very first one. We still have plenty of spots available. So if you are interested in joining us, you can fill out a quote with Gold Gal Getaways to be part of our group, so you can be involved with all of our activities and excursions and everything else.
Yes, and if this podcast actually gets posted, there will already be a video out of some of the activities that we are going to be doing together on board.
Yes.
I'm super excited about
Josh actually got to tour the ship, so
I got to tour the ship.
He kind of knows what's going on.
It was amazing. Moving on, Run Disney. If you guys don't know, this year I am doing the Dopey Challenge, and I'm doing it for the Dragon Master Foundation, which is a foundation that's basically built around finding data and collaborating with professionals to conquer brain cancer in children.
Yeah.
And it's really great. It's a huge motivation for myself. You can follow along every week on Sundays. I'll be posting a video of the training for it and talking about some other things that have to do with health and fitness in general. They don't just apply to the Dopey Challenge, that's what I'm doing, but they kind of apply to other things as well. So something else to look forward to. if you would be so gracious and would like to donate to my cause, or to their cause, really, there's a link in the description below.
And this brings us to the video clip of the week. We are going to be doing a basically travel type video clip of the week. And this week is actually what we picked.
Well, hold on. I don't want it to necessarily be a clip of the week all the time. I wouldn't mind if there were several clips that people would send us. Really what I'm looking for, what I think would be cool is to have some, I'm looking for like funny stuff. That I think just like random things that you capture like on your vacation.
We want something interesting for sure
to talk about. But yeah. So go ahead, talk about this is the.
This is the first thing, because this was just the craziest thing that we couldn't believe this happened.
It happened a while ago.
A cruise ship lost control and hit a pier in Venice, and it actually looks like it hit like a tourist boat as well.
Yeah.
At the pier, but. All right, let's see what happens here. Oh my gosh, you can hear the horn.
It's literally the craziest thing. Like okay, first and foremost, let's pause that real quick. Can you imagine being on that ship and they're blaring the horn and you have no idea what's going on? Like,
no, you're just like a bystander walking down the pier, like no big deal.
No, but what if you're on the ship?
Oh, if I was on the ship,
they're just blaring the horn. They're just blaring the horn.
I'm sure they would announce overhead, like, what is
I would hope
happening.
So. I would hope so. Can you imagine, like, you're in line at the buffet.
And it's already hard enough to walk at the buffet.
Oh, my gosh. And then you collide with a pier.
Yeah, that would not be good. All right. And that is literally what just keeps happening. Oh, my gosh. The people are running on the pier. You can hear the ship scraping along there. Could you imagine being there in either spot, on the ship or on the pier?
All I can say is that I would hope that cruise line comps me in a decent way. Because that would be pretty scary. I mean, that would be pretty scary. Could you imagine if the pier tore apart the hull? Houston, we're taking on water. We're going to sink. It's the Titanic. Oh, my God.
Well, at least they're, like, at the pier, so they can just get off the ship.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. You would think.
But it might be a little bit before they get off the ship.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, anyways, we're kind of just like looking for any type of videos, maybe like fail videos. We want to kind of like make this as interactive as possible. So if there's something out there that you know of or think of or have something.
Even if it's something old, or if you just took it on your phone, or whatever you can find. Or if it's not even your video and you found it on the internet, because we saw this on the news. We didn't take this video, obviously.
Right. But, yeah, very cool.
So, we also, because we are local here to the theme parks, we do want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the theme parks now. So, actually, recently at Busch Gardens, they announced that they have a new hybrid roller coaster coming in 2020, which I'm really excited about because Busch Gardens has great roller coasters. And it's actually going to be North America's tallest hybrid and the fastest and steepest hybrid coaster in the world. So it's going to be literally insane. It's going to be more than 200 feet tall, and it's actually going to have like the steel and wooden parts in the design, because it's taking over Gwazi, the old wooden roller coaster that was there. So I think that's going to be really cool.
Hence why it's being called hybrid. It's really funny. It seems like all of the theme parks in Florida are really trying to set
tallest, longest, fastest. That was Mako at SeaWorld.
Records right now. So it is pretty interesting. I'm excited to see it.
Oh, well, we're going to try them all out. Keep bringing the coasters.
Yes, I love Tigris. Tigris was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Great new steel roller coaster. Coming from SeaWorld, they have also announced a new roller coaster coming in 2020. Declared it will have plunging thrills and predatory heights. I don't think we know much more than that right now as far as what's happening.
No, there was a very short video clip that they released of like an advertisement thing, and it actually had some like ice like in the clip, like it almost looked like broken ice.
Yes, and if you actually go to SeaWorld right now, you can see where they're doing construction at, and it's actually over there by the Arctic. It's not in the Arctic Ocean, the Arctic area, but it's kind of near there. It's by the giant water theater, aqua theater. That's what I'm gonna call it. The aqua theater.
Which one?
The giant dolphin one, huh?
Oh, no.
the
It's like
giant one.
over, yeah, it's over by the
It's over on the lakefront.
Or I forget what the stadium's called. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we also have the electric ocean running all summer long. You can see one of our videos.
We did go there. It was awesome.
It was very cool. Something new. I love the fireworks at the end. A great new addition for the summer.
Yeah, and then, of course, at Universal, Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. It's a mouthful. It has opened.
Still haven't ridden it yet.
We still have not ridden it yet, but we do have plans to go back over and ride it. I've heard the wait time has not been as insane, so we will get back over there. And then also Big Fire Grill is open at City Walk, and if you don't know, we do dining reviews that we post every single Monday on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
And we do plan on going to Big Fire Grill to do a dining review. We're trying to get back over to City Walk and Universal more to check out what they have to offer in general. And
we are.
They also have the new Universal's Endless Summer Resort, Surfside Inn and Suites. It's now open. It's not connected directly to the theme parks, but it is very, very close by. And it's actually their very first value resort. They have standard rooms, and they also have 2-bedroom suites, which is nice for families. I know that's why a lot of people like Art of Animation, because of the suites,
yes.
And it's a value resort. And I did check prices online for the summer, and right now they're approximately, depending what kind of room you get, anywhere from about $150 a night to $225 a night. So, I mean, that's pretty good prices, for being right in Orlando, right next to the theme park.
Yeah.
And then you do get all the benefits of staying on Universal property.
Yeah, very comparable to Art of Animation right now.
Yeah.
Moving on to Walt Disney World, we've got the Grand Testino Tower has just opened up over at Coronado Springs.
Yeah.
Beautiful resort.
Yes,
we were just over there and did a dining review. I think at some point we're probably going to try to get back over there and really check out the new place. Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. Great addition. So also while we were over there, of course I said we did a dining review at Toledo. That is up right now. You can go check that out. Service was okay for us. Waitress was a little slow.
But the food was great.
The food was amazing. I think it may have just been like maybe her first time. I don't know. It's a brand new restaurant. I don't know, but
yeah.
But the food was it was so good.
Watch the dining review to find out more.
Yeah. Oh, you just pulled that one on us, did you? Yes, we did. Rise of the Resistance. Opening date announced for Walt Disney World is December 5th, and it's January 17th for Disneyland. I'm kind of surprised about that.
Yeah.
Especially since theirs opened up before ours.
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't know. Maybe they're just like, we need to give Disney World something to open up first. I don't know.
Or maybe they're just doing the construction faster. I don't know.
Yeah. And then also don't forget that Galaxy's Edge is opening up on August 29th. That is the same day this year as Food and Wine Festival. And let's be honest with each other. I think it is a ploy to try and get people away from Galaxy's Edge. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's be real here, everybody. Everybody's going to be like, who cares about Food and Wine today? It's all about Galaxy's Edge. So...
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will see how it goes. Anxiety level is through the roof right now. Through the roof. We also have Florida resident 4-day park tickets, $55 per day. Must have a valid proof of Florida residency, and it's valid through 8/28.
Conveniently enough.
Right before the opening of Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
So, does it have to be, it's just valid through, so...
Yeah,
does that mean it actually has to be used? What if you bought it on 8/28?
Well...
and then you would have 4 days to use it.
Well...
right? They're not going to block that out for Galaxy's Edge, I wouldn't.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So
you'd have to read the fine print on that one.
And then another thing that is long overdue, I think they used to have one and then they tore it out.
Oh, yeah, they did. You used to walk it.
Yeah, it's the Walkway connecting Magic Kingdom and Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa.
Yeah.
This is something where if you pay attention every so often, you'll see people actually walking that walkway. And then
trying to get that way.
Well, I think a lot of people don't know that there's not a bridge there. They think, I can just walk, and so they start walking that way. So it is nice. I think that's a huge benefit for guests that are staying at the Grand Floridian, because if you're taking the monorail, the resort monorail, you're the last stop.
And honestly, I think it's going to be great for people like us who get kind of anxious about Disney transportation when leaving, like after the fireworks. Say that the ferry's not running or the monorail's not running and you just have buses or whatever. There's not a lot of transportation. There's a lot of traffic of people. And so we could just walk to the Ticket and Transportation Center. It would be a long walk.
It's a long walk.
But we would probably still get back to our car quicker walking that.
That that is a, yes. I don't want anybody to steal my ideas.
But Josh used to like that walkway. He's walked it before they tore it down.
I ran it. No, I never did the walkway. The walkway was gone before I came.
It was?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You tried to do the walkway.
Yeah. I've done the run from TTC all the way to Grand Floridian to, make sure we checked in time for Narcoossee's.
Oh yeah, that.
That's a story for another time.
Yeah. But then just some regular worldwide travel news here. This is like the most exciting one for me right now, is that Disney Cruise Line was named the world's best by Travel and Leisure. I think that is awesome because Disney Cruise Line is seriously amazing. Now, let me note here that we have only ever done Disney Cruise Line until January when we will have done Royal Caribbean, but Disney Cruise Line definitely from what we've experienced, I think they live up to the world's best. But we're excited to try some other cruise lines. And I don't know if anybody has heard this, but tourism to the Dominican Republic was kind of rough here these last couple months because there were a couple tourists that died and got killed and some other things. But based on statistics and based on the news and everything else that's been happening in the Dominican Republic, it seems to be over and it was short-lived, and hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. Because that was crazy. But on a better note, the Caribe Hilton in Puerto Rico is finally reopening its doors. And this is actually, if you don't know, one of the most iconic and historic hotels in Puerto Rico. And the reason that I'm telling you it's reopening is because it actually suffered extensive damage from Hurricane Maria back in 2018. That was when Puerto Rico had all kinds of problems. But now this iconic hotel is going to be reopening. So that is awesome. And just so you know, we post a lot of articles on our website. So you can always head over to the WDWCouple.com and check out our website for more information on most of the topics that we talk about.
Yeah. One thing that you may be missing if you are listening to this and not watching this is that a lot of the stuff that we will probably be talking about, we're going to throw video or photos up just because it makes it a little bit easier to watch than two people sitting in front of this camera. So, again, I mean, as things progress, this will get a little bit more dynamic, but this is, we're just trying to get our feet wet with this. It's something that we've never done. So
I feel very comfortable so far. I'm I don't know how thoroughly enjoying this.
So weird.
I'm enjoying this because all I do all day long, every day, is talk.
Yeah, we know.
That's why I'm good with it.
So the other thing about the weekly, or this, I was about to say the weekly breakdown, because that's what
this is the weekly
podcast
breakdown.
Is called, is we want to kind of have just like a subject that we talk about. Could be literally anything. Probably for the first couple of episodes will be kind of the theme parks. That's what we're used to. That's what we know. Yeah. But we'll kind of start to branch away from that as things go along.
And you'll probably learn a little bit more about us too. I definitely think there's some topics that we want to talk about that's like kind of about us and, how we got to where we are and that sort of thing.
This week's breakdown. First visits to Walt Disney World and how they went. Now, obviously, Taylor and I have not been together since we were children.
That would be weird.
So that would be very strange. But Taylor, why don't you tell us about the first time that you went to Walt Disney World?
So I'll go first because I have been going to Walt Disney World since I was a child. Josh started a little later in life. Yeah. And we definitely have talked about this on our YouTube channel briefly before. I think Josh actually did a full video on his, but our first visits were so different because my first visit was actually in 1997, like at the beginning of the year. I was like 3, almost 4 years old.
You were an actual child.
Because my birthday's in the summer. And this was actually during the 15-month-long 25th anniversary celebration of Walt Disney World. So when we got there, the castle was the birthday cake. I know a lot of avid Disney fans hated that birthday cake castle, but as a 3, almost 4-year-old child, I loved it. I still love looking at pictures of it. I'm still a kid at heart. I always will be. And that birthday cake castle will always hold a special place in my heart. Because it was... Do you have something to chime in and say there?
I never saw it.
But anyway, I remember, just as a kid, I remember spending a lot of time in Fantasyland. I remember riding Dumbo, like, with my mom. And, you know, riding the little kid rides that you ride. Peter Pan, we met Little Mermaid in the grotto, where it used to be. It was completely different from what it is now. And I also remember riding Snow White's Scary Adventures, and let me tell you what, for a child, Snow White's Scary Adventures is scary.
So how was that compared to in Disneyland?
I don't know if it was the exact same, like, copy-paste ride, but when we were going through some of those scenes, I literally was, like, having flashbacks, like, oh my gosh, this is the scene with the trees, like in the movie, where they're trying to get you. And when we were in Disneyland, as a 25-year-old, I felt like that.
Because I'm trying to remember if it was still there whenever I went for my first time.
Oh, I don't remember.
And I don't remember if it was or not. Did it end the same way as it did in Disneyland? On a really
I don't remember because I was like
note?
young.
Oh, you probably
and
closed your eyes.
I never rode it again.
Probably closed your eyes.
I never wanted to ride it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, and actually, because it was in 1997, there was no Disney's Animal Kingdom. That wasn't there yet. Not for another, like, year or two when we went back. But, yeah, so we went to Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and at the time, it was known as MGM Studios, not Hollywood Studios. So, we went to all those places, and, speaking of MGM Studios, I'm not sure 100% if it was my first trip, but I'm pretty sure it was. My Aunt Tina forced me to go on Star Tours, and, oh yeah, I didn't ride it for years, because I had to pee. And she would not let me go to the bathroom. Actually, none of my family would let me go to the bathroom because they're like, oh, the wait is so short. We got to go get on it. So, yeah, Josh was looking at me like I'm crazy. So we went and got on Star Tours. I'm this little kid that's literally just tall enough to ride the ride. And I was scared because I didn't know what this ride was. They're like, oh, it barely moves. I'm holding on for dear life. Also trying to hold in my pee so I don't pee my pants because I'm a little kid. But anyway, we got off the ride. I made it to the bathroom, no problem, just so you're aware. And yeah, I didn't ride Star Tours for a couple years after that because that was my memory. I was like traumatized because all I could think about was how I had to pee so bad and this ride was so scary.
That is crazy.
But anyway, we always stayed at Dixie Landings when we went on vacation. And if you don't know, Dixie Landings is now Port Orleans Riverside. And it actually, I had to look this up because I didn't know. Dixie Landings became Port Orleans Riverside on March 1st, 2001.
Oh, okay.
So not long after I started going, but we had all this merchandise that said Dixie Landings, and, you know, my first couple trips, we stayed at Dixie Landings. So to me, it has always been Dixie Landings. Yeah. I do call it Port Orleans Riverside now, but when my family talks about it, we talk about Dixie Landings. But this is also really funny. My mom and I don't know if we went up to the food court or what by ourselves, and I was in one of those like little umbrella strollers, and my mom was pushing me in the stroller. We were trying to find our way back to the room, and if you've ever been to Port Orleans Riverside, it's big. It's a really big resort. There's lots of rooms, like, well, let me tell you, we got lost, and this was before you had like smartphone cell phones like what we have now. I don't even know what kind of phone my mom had back then.
Yeah, Riverside is where we were doing the
we went to trivia.
Yeah. I ran around the resort a few times. It is pretty big. Like it's a decent sized place. It's probably pretty easy to get lost.
There's a lot
especially
of
if
rooms.
You start walking back into off of the main path and walking back into where some of those
but we got lost. I don't know if somebody found us or if we got back to the room. Obviously, we were found because I'm here today, but
I'm lost.
but we were lost. I can't wait till my mom hears this to see what she thinks. But something else I always remember is going up towards the main lobby area at Dixie Landings, and I would always get a hair wrap. That was like my souvenir every year on vacation, was I had to get a hair wrap. And I remember my mom used to always talk me into, or she'd try to talk me into getting one like underneath my hair so that it wouldn't be as long, because I had really long straight hair when I was little. But I was a little spoiled, and I always made her let me get it on the top of my head so it was really long. And
I'm trying to think of the last time that you had something like that done. I think it was on our cruise.
That was when I got braids.
Yeah.
On our cruise. But I didn't get a hair wrap. But I would love to get a hair wrap as an adult, just because I haven't done it in literally forever. I think that would be fun. I'm going to do it sometime. Let me see. What else? Oh, the arcade. Port Orleans Riverside Arcade, to this day, remains one of my favorite arcades on property. Not that we really ever go and play in arcades that much.
When was the last time you were in there?
It's been a little while. Since one of the nights we went over to trivia, because Nate and Veronica had a gift card. But yeah, that's one of my favorite arcades. So, let us know what your favorite arcade is on property, because that still remains near and dear to my heart. And I almost forgot to mention this. I thought about it when I was thinking about the arcade. Every year when we went to Disney World, until I was in high school, we rode in what my family called the big bus.
The big bus.
To Walt Disney World. Josh never got to experience this.
No, we need to find a photo or...
Oh, we have photos, I know, because for my parents' wedding, instead of having a limo or something to drive them from the church to the reception, we rode in the big bus. It's a big Bluebird bus, and I'll never forget it because, we rode in that every single year. It had a full bedroom, it had a bathroom and a shower, it had a small little kitchen area, it had the living room area, and then it had the 2 big front seats. And this was actually in the days before pop-outs on RVs, so...
Oh, really?
What you got was what you got. It didn't pop out.
I didn't realize that. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah. So, but we fit 12 plus of us in that thing, and we'd drive to Walt Disney World every year. Yeah, so we basically would take 3 days pretty much, and we would stop at the outlets in Hagerstown, I remember specifically, and we'd go shopping and take our time, because we all had a lot of vacation days apparently back then.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I have no idea. And we would stop, and some of us would stay in the bus, and some of us would go stay in a hotel, because obviously you can't sleep the whole crew of us that we had in the bus. But there was definitely enough seating room for all of us to ride in there. So, yeah.
Can't even imagine.
You missed the good old days there, honey bunny.
Speaking of which, I never took the bus. The first time that I went down with Taylor was actually a first on a few levels for me.
It was.
First time that I was away from home with complete strangers for the most part.
You knew us for a year.
Still strangers. It was a little weird. But, I take that back.
Whatever.
Anyways, it was a first for me on a few different things. Obviously, it's my first time to Walt Disney World back in 2009. It was also the first time that I ever flew.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a little nerve-wracking because I've never flown in a plane before. I just remember watching Lost and, they're out over the ocean and their plane crashes on an island.
Except when you fly to Florida, it's very rare that you fly out over the ocean.
And it's a short flight. We flew from Pittsburgh all the way down to Orlando. It's 2 hours straight through. Wasn't bad at all. I don't remember anything about it being bad, but I was extremely nervous. I was a little worried about it.
Didn't sleep the night before, nervous.
Yeah, because, again, it's your first time. You don't know what the heck's going to happen. Anything could happen. But, yeah, my first time was with Taylor's family. And it was pretty cool. I think Taylor always likes to talk about how I was not excited before we got there.
Because he wasn't.
Because, again, why I mentioned earlier that Taylor was a child whenever she first went. I was an adult. I was 18 years old.
Yep.
I think most people who talked about going to Walt Disney World were probably like Taylor, who had gone as a kid. So there was maybe, I don't know, some nostalgia factors there. But as an adult, it was like this. I was just told like this is just a place.
As an adult, 18 years old.
Listen,
adult.
Come on now. I was in college.
That was in quotation marks, FYI.
I was in college. I was in my first semester of college. I mean...
You actually missed some school to come down.
I did. I actually almost failed my first semester of college because I went to Disney World.
This was before Wi-Fi, so in the hotel room, he actually had to plug in an Ethernet cable.
That's right. I did. It was pretty crazy. But, it was crazy. First time with Taylor's family... And we stayed, wait. Well, I wasn't excited. I was trying to not get my hopes up. Like, I didn't want it to be, I want to build something up in my head and then get there and be like, oh, this kind of sucks.
And it was getting me, like, all depressed.
And Taylor's pretty worried about it. But I think for a lot of people, maybe their first park is going into Magic Kingdom and they make that turn, they see Cinderella's castle. For me, it was actually going into Animal Kingdom. That was the first park that we went into. I don't remember if it was like a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or any other day of the week. But I remember walking into Animal Kingdom and it was stunning. It was amazing how much detail there was. It was crazy. I think the funniest thing is that when you don't know how much of, not to spoil the magic for a lot of people who don't know already, but when you don't really know how much of the show is the show, it's very easy to be convinced that it is real. I think, when they said that the Tree of Life was real, I think for at least a little bit I thought, oh, wow, that's pretty crazy how that's real. But I'm like, there's no way that that's real. There's animals carved into it. But I think the one thing that really got me was when we did the safari. Because when we drove through just before the elephant area, and they had on the right-hand side the pit where there's like the tusks were in, and it's like, oh, they're digging for clay because that's what they eat. Like, I thought that was real. I legit thought that was real. I'm like,
this is Disney. It is real.
I'm like, this is freaking awesome. And then... Of course, though, I didn't really think that the crocodile area was real because every time we drove by there, they never seemed like
he literally didn't think that was real.
There was a long time where I'm like, those aren't real. Those are fake. But no, they're real. They're real. I mean, it was just like little details that they put into the park, and it really immerses you into a whole new world, and it is absolutely crazy. And I think from that moment on, I had pretty much fallen in love with like this idea of being here in Disney World. So,
I suckered him in quick.
Yeah, I think for the most part too, which was crazy, is that I hadn't spent more than probably like 2 or 3 hours with Taylor's family at one time. I think maybe before the trip we had gone down to Pittsburgh and went to the zoo.
Possibly.
No, I think that was afterwards. But I really hadn't spent more than like 2 hours with these people, and now I was going to spend 10 days with them, and it was fine. I think everybody was pretty good the whole time. But
wait a second. 2009. Skylar was like how old?
3 or 4.
Was that the year you saw Skylar and I fight, or was that after that?
I don't know if that was the first year or the second year. I honestly don't remember. There was at one point which we're gonna go into some little details about Taylor.
We're getting real deep.
Where because there is such an age gap between Taylor and her younger sisters. At the time, it was just her and her younger sister Skylar, and I think there's like a 10-year gap, right? 10-year gap? 11-year gap?
11 and a half.
11 and a half. And, I think Taylor is a little antagonist. Skylar's a little kid. She doesn't understand when stop needs to stop, and neither did Taylor. And they kept fighting and bickering with each other over and over again. And I was like, listen, Taylor, you're almost an adult.
But listen, Josh had been around for a year, so he already knew that like Skylar and I would fight like this. And let me just tell you, so Skylar is now like 14 and 14?
Yeah, 15. No, she's a freshman, isn't she? In high school.
Oh my God, is
15?
she 15?
I don't know. How old are you? You're 26.
Whatever.
15.
She's gonna hate me for this. But anyway, and Jocelyn is 4. So she's 14 because they're 10 years
Okay.
apart. And yes, I have a 4-year-old sister. Note that right there. The two of them fight exactly how Skylar and I fought.
It's exactly the same.
It is like
it's crazy.
watching a movie when I see them.
But basically what had happened was that they were arguing, and it got to the point where hopefully nobody calls child services. But Taylor would not listen. And her mom was like, Taylor, you need to stop. And I'm like, Taylor, you need to stop. You're like almost an adult. Skylar's a kid. Taylor did not stop. And, her mom gave her some discipline. And it was kind of funny. It was actually kind of funny. Taylor was very embarrassed. But, I mean, it's like, hey, listen, you know what? You're almost an adult.
Whatever.
Sometimes you got to act like it. Anyways.
I'm glad I brought that up. I brought it on myself.
Point of the story is that we'd only really been dating for like a year at that point. And so I guess if I could put up with Taylor's family... I think we're expecting any deliveries. Point of the story is that basically, if I could handle that, I'm sure that I could handle the rest of my life with Taylor, which going on 11 years strong. Anyways, back to my first time to Disney, because it was a pretty crazy. Did my first Christmas party, which was awesome.
In case you can hear, the dogs are literally going wild.
The dogs
right
are
now.
barking out there. I'm not sure why.
We don't know why.
Maybe somebody's knocking at the door. They hear us recording a podcast. Anyways, it was the first time going for the Christmas party. It was in December, so I got to see the entire park and Christmas decorations, which I think was great. Love it. It's amazing. If you ever have a chance to go during that time of the year. But one of the best parts was that Taylor's great-grandmother was with us.
Oh my god.
Who at the time was like 80-something.
She's literally like, she's 90.
Yeah, rolling around
now.
in her...
She's 90 now.
Rolling around in her electric scooter at the time.
So she'd have been like 80, 10 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Rolling around in her electric scooter. We are at the Christmas party. We're getting all lined up out in front of the castle along the parade routes. We have been there... I don't know if we were all there, but I think Mom and Mimi were there for a long time, holding a spot for us.
Yes, even 10 years ago, we still held spots.
They still got there early. And we still got there, I think, before the whole crowd showed up. So it wasn't like we were trying to push in at the last second. But unfortunately, you always have people who are out on the walkway and they need to get back behind you for whatever reason. They can't go down to the crosswalk area. And poor little old Mimi... literally got bulldozed by, was it some lady? Or?
It was a lady. She was like putting her arm in front of Mimi's neck.
She like just did not care. She's like, I'm getting through here, whether you like it or not.
And she was yelling.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was definitely a first at seeing not Disney magic from other people.
Yeah, unfortunately, some people are like that.
And that's just, that's just the way it is whenever you come to Walt Disney World. You're always going to have people who have been in the parks all day and things get heated and carried away. And, yeah, a little carried away. But I have came back ever since. And obviously we live down here now. So it was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think what other firsts there were for me on that trip. I mean, everything, I guess, was a first.
Literally everything was a first.
But I really enjoyed riding Space Mountain.
Is that what you remember?
And doing the safari.
Yeah.
You know what was also really funny was that when we went to Animal Kingdom that first day, we did a dining reservation for breakfast over at oh my gosh.
Tusker House?
Yeah, over at Tusker House. And again, I have not spent more than like 2 hours with these people before. And Taylor's aunt is holding her son.
My cousin Davis.
Taylor's cousin Davis, who I think was like 3, 2.
He's like a year younger than Skylar and Georgia.
So like 2 or 3. And basically just shoves him into my arms and says, Josh, here, hold Davis for this family photo. So I was inducted into the family, would seem very quickly. They may listen to this or watch this and think otherwise, but it is what it is. Here's a good first. This is also first. This is funny. I don't condone giving children under the age of 21 alcohol, but there was this long running joke that they had amongst themselves. They had a joke that if they saw somebody that they knew from back home, or or something like that. It was like you got a drink or something, or somebody would buy you a drink.
Because a lot of people from our hometown went to Disney World, so it was like whoever sees somebody they know first.
Yeah. Because somebody would buy them a drink or something.
We always went over Thanksgiving break because Thanksgiving break was really long. But anyway.
And mind you, first time going, nobody that I know that went to my high school that I'm friends with went to Walt Disney World on a regular basis. We were there for like...
It was at Animal Kingdom.
It was at Animal Kingdom. It was that first day.
Right in front of Yak and Yeti.
Right in front of Yak and Yeti. I saw somebody. I went to college at Mansfield University in PA. Saw somebody. I recognized him immediately. He was on the football team. I talked to him a little bit, and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And they were like, "No way. You like know that person?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I go to school with him over at Mansfield. And yeah, I don't know if I ever got that drink. I mean, obviously I wasn't 21 at the time, so that's understandable. But I'm gonna still hold them to that. Actually, I really should.
They owe you a drink next time they come back.
They didn't just pay for me to go to Walt Disney World like 2 or 3 times. So
no big deal.
That doesn't that's not like that counts or anything like that.
But who made the bet? Was it Aunt Tina? Did Aunt Tina?
I think it was like Aunt Tina and Darren.
Because it sounds like something the two of them would come up with.
I think so.
Aunt Tina is my stepdad Darren's sister, just so you are aware.
I don't think
we name names.
And I don't think that we have any video of this, but I do have some photos. The other thing that was a first was seeing that parade that was in Animal Kingdom.
We do have video of it.
It's gone, do we?
I
don't know.
Video? We definitely have pictures.
We definitely have pictures. But yeah, so that's a lot of fun. And like I said, we continue to come back every year. We live here now, and it's awesome. It's so cool.
It is pretty awesome.
I love leaning into this mic and just talking really quietly.
Josh wants to do an ASMR video.
No, we're not going to do that. If you don't know what that is, it's like where you...
It's soothing sounds that you like to listen to.
No, we're not going to do that. Anyways, moving on. We're going to close out this this little podcast,
Our first podcast. The first weekly breakdown.
Yes, it is approximately 48 minutes long.
Which to me is pretty normal because a podcast is normally about an hour-ish. Sometimes a little over.
Yeah.
I watched one the other day that was about an hour and 5 minutes long. So.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. This is something where we are really going to be relying on your guys' feedback on what you like, what you don't like. Obviously, take into account this is the first episode, so please don't send us hate comments or hate email or anything else.
We want good vibes. Okay? We want constructive criticism of, is there something that you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, even topics would be great if you guys have suggestions on topics.
We have like a whole list that I've literally been compiling for years, and now we finally get to use it, so I'm so excited.
But those are pretty much all Walt Disney World lists.
They are Walt Disney World lists.
So, again, like we said, we wanted to branch out and do some other things, and we will, and of course we will. But like I said, this is where we can kind of interact with you guys. And like I said, if you guys have questions about certain things, I don't know, like I said, this is going to be evolving as it goes. So whether it's camera questions or theme park questions or cruising questions or not extremely personal life question, I don't know. But just send us some questions. We can do those on here as well. And like I said, at some point, we're going to get a wheel and have some prizes on there.
They can't see a wheel on a podcast.
Whoa. Listen, there's space right here. We'll throw it up like right here, and I can just spin it. It doesn't have to be super big, but just I'll spin it, And it has like the...
Like the Wheel of Fortune, yes, we all know.
But it doesn't have numbers. It has prizes.
Well, the Wheel of Fortune is technically prizes.
Listen, don't say Wheel of Fortune. They're going to nail us for...
This is not fortune.
Copyright infringement or something like that, but... Yeah. So, super excited. The best way, though, is if we could get some more sponsors out there for different things, whether it's, I don't know, whatever. Travel products, that would be really cool. I bet people would love different types of cool travel products. Or anything. Or anything, really. I mean, we'll see. See what happens.
Our peeps are into everything.
We are open to all suggestions.
So we really want to thank you guys for tuning into our very first podcast.
Yes.
That we have been dying to do for a couple years now. So we're really excited. You're going to be able to watch this actually footage here on our YouTube channel, and then we'll also post the show notes on our website, and then you'll also be able to listen to this just as a podcast. But anyway, before we end this episode today, we can show you the meme of the week. And for those of you that cannot see, I will tell you.
So what we're going to try to do is find like something that we found funny and just show it because we thought it was funny too.
If you don't know, I live in meme land for days that I am off camera.
Okay. She does.
I literally do.
We'll be sitting next to each other in the car, and I'll get a Facebook message that has a meme that she sent. It's like, I'm literally sitting right next to you.
Yeah, whatever.
Just show me the meme.
Anyway, so this week's meme is 4th of July themed because 4th of July just came by and I was literally laughing, like trying to type it in to look it up.
I can't believe I've never seen the video before.
So I'll put the video clip in for you as well so that you can see what happened here. But Terry is marked safe from fireworks.
And then you should play the video because I think if people know what you're talking about, they'll laugh instantly. But
oh, Terry.
This is one of the funniest videos that I've ever seen.
Josh didn't see it until the day after, or a couple days after the 4th of July. He had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And we had to show him, and he lost it.
And just so everybody knows, like, Terry was okay.
Yep, Terry was marked safe. But anyway.
In all reality, Terry was fine. I just feel like some people might be like, that's not okay. I just want to clarify that he was okay.
Just watch the video. Terry's fine. And that's the weekly breakdown.